Hello and welcome to my capstone presentation. My name is Shelby Powers and my presentation is on the impacts of a blended learning environment on student achievement and perceptions of engagement within an 8th grade algebra classroom. As teachers, we are working to not only provide students with the content skills specific to our subjects, but also to give them the 21st century skills necessary for success after school. These skills, like communication, problem solving and critical thinking, and digital literacy, among others, will be essential to life in our modern workforce. The increasing trend of using technology in classrooms aims to support these skills, in addition to activating student interest by providing more student-centered learning and greater teacher flexibility for improving instruction. The purpose of this study was to determine what impact a blended learning environment can have on both student achievement and mastery of content, as well as on perceptions of student engagement within an 8th grade algebra classroom during a 3-week unit of study on slope and linear functions. A blended learning environment combines both human and technological interactions with the hope of providing students with a multifaceted approach to learning. The term blended learning has been adapted and used to describe many different instructional approaches that in some way include a combination of traditional face-to-face instruction with some component of online learning or educational technology. Despite the differences in the models, the common foundational trait being used is the ability to optimize student learning through competency-based learning where students are progressing forward through curriculum based on mastery, not time spent on a subject. With only 9% of low-income students going on to earn college diplomas, it is clear that we as educators need to be doing more to engage students, particularly in the area of math. The integration of technology may provide means of increasing student engagement, while at the same time helping to target differentiated needs. There are many potential benefits with the addition of blended learning experiences. One of these is increased student time on task. Van Dusen, Worthen, and Saylor, in their 1994 study, showed that when engaged in technology-enriched curriculum, students spent a significantly larger period of time engaged in math tasks, and argue that if students can spend more of their potential learning time actively engaged in the learning task, it would make sense that these students would be more likely to make better academic gains than their peers in traditional classrooms. Other benefits of blended learning can include increased satisfaction, decreased feelings of boredom and/or frustration, and an increased ability to target a student's zone of proximal development, which is essential for creating contextual understanding that lasts. In 1978, Vygotsky defined the zone of proximal development as the difference between what a learner can do without help and what a learner can do with assistance. Teachers can use this zone to bridge the gap in understanding, creating mathematical connections through scaffolded instruction and multiple representation. Technology provides unique ways of accomplishing this. It is important to note that much research emphasizes the fact that technology alone will not have the desired effects on student achievement, and that technology should be used as a tool that influences the math being taught. It is best when combined with constructivist teaching methods centered on the contextual understanding of math. A great thing about technology is the afforded opportunity to model and interpret real-world situations that are too complex to look at without technology. This makes the math more applicable to students and thus more meaningful to them. This study centered on a 3-week unit of study on slope and linear equations, using 2 classes of 8th grade algebra students as cohorts. Cohort A learned through a series of stations without integrated blended learning, while Cohort B worked through similar stations that incorporated the use of blended learning activities. The study was conducted at a Title I urban school in Southeast Texas, with a population that is 83% African American and 16% Hispanic. The learning goals and activities centered on the development of the concept of slope as rate of change and the meaning of slope in different real-life scenarios. It utilized Pearson's connected curriculum, a curriculum that focuses on teaching math in context. And Cohort B also had an opportunity to access online resources through the programs iExcel, Khan Academy, and Explore Learning's Gizmos, which are a series of online manipulatives specific to math concepts. Prior to the unit starting, students took a survey measuring their attitudes towards math class and their levels of engagement within the class. They took the same survey with statements reordered at the conclusion of the unit. Similarly, students took a 5-question multiple-choice diagnostic quiz and a post-unit assessment to measure their student achievement data. Additionally, observational data was used through video sessions to determine student incidents of off-task behavior, measured in 5-minute intervals, through a tally system of measuring which students were on task as defined by actively working on the mathematical task at hand or engaged in a mathematical conversation. The data from cohorts A and B was compared for all 3 metrics. After comparing pre- and post-unit survey data, it was found that of the 14 statements, 16 changed favorably in response to Cohort B's participation in blended learning. In these statements, students reported feeling less bored in class. They also noted feeling increased levels of my teacher listening to me, feeling supported in the class, being on task and participating in the class, and looking forward to coming to the class. Students in Cohort A showed no change to their survey responses. From the video observations, Cohort B had fewer incidents of off-task behaviors recorded, and in particular, students diagnosed with attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder had fewer needs for redirection and had better focus during the periods of technology integration than as typical for them in a class. There was no statistical difference in student achievement data between the 2 cohorts, as measured by the growth from pre to post-unit diagnostic and assessment. In their surveys, students readily identified the use of technology and the technology-based programs as one of their favorite components in class. The integration of blended learning stations in Cohort B helped to eliminate feelings of boredom while giving me more time to check in with individual students and small groups during class time, which in turn helps students feel more supported in their work with math. When measuring time on task, Cohort B recorded fewer occasions of off-task behavior, an indication that they were more engaged in the learning activities. The hope moving forward would be that this increased student engagement translates into increased student preferences for math as an area of study in college and as a future career. While there was no difference between the 2 cohorts in terms of academic achievement, I do believe that the added use of online learning helped to solidify connections and understandings of slope. Many students commented while working with the online manipulatives about it making more sense when they could see the effects on the graph when changing the sliders for slope. This type of visual, immediate feedback provided greater understanding of the math in context. Given the positive effects found in this study and through the research work of others, it appears that blended learning is an effective way for increasing the effectiveness and productivity of a middle school math curriculum. For teachers, this means that it is worth the time to learn about new technology opportunities and find ways to integrate them into a math curriculum that is already focused on building connections and conceptual understanding. Technology should be viewed as one piece of the puzzle that, when it comes together, can form an engaging and effective math class for all students.